Welcome everybody, thanks for tuning in today for our roundtable discussion, or I guess tailgate pad discussion, on 9 different tailgate pads that we have been reviewing over the last few months. We would like to thank, again, Competitive Cyclists, our preferred online retail partner, and be sure to use Loam Wolf 15 for 15% off any applicable items on your first purchase, tailgate pads or otherwise. So let's get into the highs and lows of all these pads and see where they stack up. Okay, real quick before we get into the main feature, we just wanted to remind you guys that we are giving away a bunch of these pads. Competitive Cyclists and many of the brands themselves have donated extra pads, and frankly, we just don't have enough space to keep all these, and we want to stoke you guys out. So send a text message to the number down below that says, keep me informed. We will list that number here. Send a text, do it now. There's a lot more giveaways after this tailgate pad feature is done, so go enter. If you're already a member, no need to send us another text. You're already in. Thank you guys, and back to the show. So in case you've missed the build up to this episode, we will link that and each of the individual episodes below, but we did go into great detail reviewing every one of these pads coming up to this episode, so make sure you check those out if you want to see more in-depth talk about each of those pads. So Sean and Dustin, let's introduce the 9 contestants.
All right, first up we had the Backcountry Getaway Goat. It is a 6-bike tailgate pad. It's very overthought, I would say.
Okay.
It looks great on paper, but the functionality and all the features that they started to add really starts to work against itself. An adjustment strap that runs along the top in a zigzag formation where you just snug the outsides, which takes a good minute to kind of work to fit the tailgate better.
Yeah. I would definitely, pull in a friend to help get that tight, but once it's on, you're good. Okay. Don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
So it looks busy, but it performs well. Yes?
Yeah.
No? Pretty well?
Pretty well,
okay.
I suppose.
Not the best, not the worst.
No, it's tailgate pad.
So what does this tailgate pad do very well, Dustin?
I think it keeps bikes where they're supposed to be.
John, what do you think it does very well?
It fits a wider range of vehicles pretty well.
Okay.
I think with the way that the bikes stagger when you start loading it up, it doesn't fit as well. Like, I think the bikes rotate eventually. Like, you stack them all up, you take a corner fast, and they'll eventually tip over.
Okay.
But it does have a lot of down tube padding.
Okay.
Down tube and stanchion.
Okay. Sounds like if you're carrying maybe 4 bikes or less, then it's a solid selection.
Yeah.
But more than that, that extra padding
it works against itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So overall, 1 to 10, what would you pick it?
7.5, 8.
Dustin?
10 being the highest?
Yeah.
Yeah, high middle back there. So yeah, 7 to 8, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely good features on it.
And it doesn't break the bank either. So that's
always
a plus.
worth at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Point scale for sure. So, all right, let's move on to the next one.
All right, so next we have the Yakima Gatekeeper tailgate pad. It fits 6 bikes and 6 bikes only.
Oh yeah? You can't put 3 on there?
You could fit 3.
Well, what's the point of that?
It's a solid 6, and 6 is the max.
Yeah.
And it does that perfectly.
Okay. Yeah. So why does it fit 6 perfectly?
The Gatekeeper fits my tailgate perfectly. They made it just wide enough, and within that they have 6 sit-tight cradles.
Okay.
And they space those out perfectly to work with the wide array of our test capacity bikes. And there's no wiggle room. They have set positions and that's it. Mm-hmm. And then and they use G-hook straps instead of Velcro straps, which is a huge plus. 1 less failure point, and they cinch down super easy, and they fit every e-bike on the market.
Okay. So obviously we test and ride a lot of e-bikes, so that is a major bonus point for us, but regular down tubes fit fine.
Mm-hmm.
Large, fat, full-powered e-bikes fit What would you say is the downside, if any?
I'm not a fan of the large access flap, and there's not really a good way to secure that up out of the way if you want to use a tailgate handle mounted rear view camera.
Okay.
Aside from that, that's really my only big negative.
I would definitely say that the 3 points of contact. I think full-size tailgate pads, 4 points of contact to strap it down. That way it's not bubbling and bowing.
Yeah, but we didn't really have an issue with it bowing with this pad compared to like some of the others that have 3 straps.
Yeah, but you'd still rather see 4 straps.
Always.
Okay. All right. 1 to 10.
9.5.
Oh.
Yeah, it's definitely a 9. Like, no sweat on that. The limitation, if you need to pull extra in there, you're just off a pad and there's nothing underneath it in case you just didn't want to strap them down. So,
I mean, are you putting 7 people inside your cab?
you know, back in the day,
Next up, we got the EVOC Tailgate Pad. It is also a 6-bike tailgate pad. It's pretty unique, I'd say, in its
I liked it.
build. What were some of your favorite?
I like the coverage, you know, being
It is the widest.
it is the widest. I have the widest tailgate and that we're testing between the trucks, and I like full coverage. I don't like seeing paint underneath poking out. I just want it fully covered, protect the whole thing. Even loading and stuff, you're not worried about anything getting on there. So that's definitely number one.
Yeah,
point.
I mean, that thing barely fit mine. It was definitely smashed in between the bedside and the tailgate, but.
Okay. All right, so that's something to note, obviously, depending on the type of truck you have, for
Yeah,
sure.
you might have to do some
They do
folding.
make it a smaller size, though.
For a mid-size vehicle.
Okay.
Not
Not for a full size.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as bike protection, transportation, how did it do there?
Want to take this one, Dustin?
Yeah.
I mean, it lived on your truck.
I did have it on the truck for a while. I noticed that depending on the down tube of the bike, definitely some rotation. It would stay in the spot, but the bike could lean. It didn't have the thickest pad, or the pad itself looked big, but when you set something on there, it really would collapse, with just the weight pretty quickly.
Like the black foam spacers that are on the top.
Which are meant to keep it, hooked in, but they just kind of let it collapse into it like a good mattress.
Yeah. Okay, so overall, would you say it's a good pad? What are the strengths besides full coverage?
Volume. You could fit a lot of bikes on it,
You can
whether
fit
they're
a lot of
strapped in
bikes.
or not.
Okay.
So the straps that the pad comes with are acoustic only.
Okay.
EVOC does sell e-bike straps.
Okay.
They come in pairs for $20. So if you're traveling with a couple e-bikes, not a big deal. If you got 6 e-bikes, you're adding $60 on top of an already pricey pad.
Okay. So when you evaluating price, bike security, transportation, ease of use, paint protection of the vehicle, where does the EVOC land for you?
For me, it's a little bit low. It's probably at 7.
Okay.
Paint protection is a big one.
Doesn't have a super nice.
It's not. It doesn't have a microfiber or a fleece liner like a lot of the other pads have.
Okay. Dustin?
Yeah, probably 7. I like it more than others on test, mainly the overall coverage. The protection of the paint is not something that I personally have to deal with. And yeah, I think that the way that the backup flap was for the handle access flap, was fine. And
So why only a 7?
3 points of contact. There's a lot of bowing.
That's a lot. That's a lot of points for you.
That 3 points and how thin that pad is,
Okay.
you do see a lot of,
Okay.
it just doesn't cinch down as smooth.
All right.
Yeah, there's definitely other pads that hold bikes better, I think.
Yeah, and that's of course another reason to rank some a little higher.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get on to something else.
Next up, we got the Raceface T2. This was one of my favorite pads and probably one of the ones that I spent the longest amount of time testing prior to getting the new one.
Right.
So it's a 6-bike tailgate pad. we did review a generation earlier. The new gen they changed a few of the contact or some of the materials used and obviously updated colors. But aside from that, it's still essentially the same exact pad that we tested.
Which you liked last year or 2 years ago, whenever that was.
Yeah, and I mean, Nick's been running that pad since I gave it to him.
Yeah.
So it's lived a very long life.
Yeah, and not an easy one.
No.
A lot of buttons.
Okay, so what about it did you like so much that made it so memorable?
I liked all the down tube padding and kind of dividers. I mean, they might not work as well as they're intended to, but it's just the thought that went into everything. And I mean, they do work. And then the adjustability of the top straps, although it does get a little bit busy. And after reading some comments on YouTube, like strap failure is a huge concern of other people, especially people that live in SoCal. And with all those straps, it does add a lot of points of potential failure.
Sure.
But I mean, we've had the pad for almost 2 years now,
and the sun
our
here
straps
in the high desert is definitely abusive, like a lot of stuff.
Not to mention Nick.
Yes, yeah, U-turn is for sure abusive.
Yeah, so I mean, that's...
What are areas that the Raceface could be improved?
I want to see more coverage.
I mean, Ford guys, man. Gosh. I mean, it fit my truck pretty well. And I mean, it is 61 inches wide.
Yeah.
So I guess you need an extra 2 inches.
All right, so out of 10, what do you give it?
Man, I want to rank it as high as the Yakima, but I like the Yakima just a smidge bit more. I'm going to go 8.75.
8.75, okay.
I mean, for price point, I think I would give it the tie with the Yakima. It is busy though, on the top side.
It was a 9, I believe.
It was a
And
9.
You were a 9.5 on Yakima.
I was.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Okay, good to know. Let's move on to the next one.
Coming in at our most expensive pad, the Swagman Paramount. It's not cheap.
Okay.
It is not.
It's got a lot going on. It's a busy pad, a lot going on.
And it says that it can fit 7 bikes.
And does it fit 7 bikes?
Depends on what you mean. It depends on whose tailgate.
Okay.
And what bikes you're putting on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our bikes, definitely not.
Okay.
Like, I think we fit 5.
Yeah, I think we saw a little one cruising around earlier. That might fit at least a dozen of them.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're thinking 7 bikes is...
It's very
I would feel bad for those bikes on a bumpy road.
Okay, all right.
6 though, I think, great.
I think 5 was our max.
I do think 5 was...
Like
we could get 6, but I don't know if we'd want to go there for anything longer than like a quick shuttle back to the top. So, all right. Beyond the claimed capacity versus actual, what were the standouts? What did you like about it most?
Well, like I said, there was a lot going on, and I think that those net mesh holders in the backside, cool idea. They were a little busy, but like, again, we talked about it, the knee pad holder, just dirty gear.
I was into it. I like that.
It's a cool idea. It's just when they're empty, you're like, I don't know about this.
I feel like that fabric baking in like the Oregon sun or the SoCal sun, like I feel like that's a big...
That net.
It's gonna fail for sure after a while.
But it hasn't yet. I mean, time will tell. We will update it if it does, but I like it. I think it's a cool feature. How about in terms of holding and transporting the 4 or 5, maybe 6 bikes?
I equally saw a lot of bike roll on it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like you could really snug it down. Like you could keep a bike snug on that pivot point, but there was just nothing to hold it there.
Tilt this way and that way.
It did. I mean, if you add a bunch of bikes on top to where like they're just, the weight is so planted on top of each other, they might not roll as much, but you put 2 bikes in there, they're rolling for sure.
Okay.
Fork extension pad was fine, but they did stack up quickly, so.
Yeah, there's...
How about ease of mounting, paint protection on the vehicle, etc.?
Yeah, it was another 3-strap pad, which again, not enough for a full-size tailgate.
I mean, for the price of that pad, it did not look...
Yeah, build quality. It kind of had a cheaper material feel to it.
And look.
You know, the same material on the outside just felt more plasticky. The microfiber on the inside just felt...
It felt more of like a like towel that you wash your car. but like the long side, not the fine side.
Okay. Okay. So the Swagman, 1 out of 10.
At 6.
I'm glad you said it. I'm right there too.
Okay.
At that price point, it's just there's.
If it was as much as the Fox, I'd probably be a little bit higher because it's a lot of features for what you're paying. But for what you're paying, the features I don't think make it worth it.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next one.
Next up, we got the cheapest pad in the shootout.
Okay.
We've got the Fox Racing tailgate cover. It is a
Your favorite?
6-bike, right? 6?
6-bike?
Yeah, so it's a 6-bike pad. It's definitely the most minimal, I'd say.
Also the most affordable.
It is the most affordable.
It was on your truck for a while. I know you kind of criticized it in the individual review, but yet it stayed on your truck for quite a while.
I did. I was just too lazy to take it off.
Okay.
And it looked pretty cool. So I mean, there's always that.
Okay, so you criticized it because it didn't have great paint protection on the tailgate pad.
Correct.
It didn't have the microfiber lining.
Yeah, and I mean the straps don't really work
Around the frame?
around the frame. Yeah.
Oh, they were too short.
Yeah.
There's too much hook, not enough loop on that Velcro.
Okay. So it's definitely not e-bike friendly, and even some of the fatter enduro bikes.
Yeah,
And a lot of bikes not friendly.
Yeah. So I mean, I would just throw those straps away and just run it.
You got so much savings. EVOC straps.
There you go.
You could buy a couple of those and still come out ahead.
That's true, huh? Yeah, and if you've got a truck that's not, you know, a show rig where you really worry about the paint,
Yeah,
it might not be a bad deal to just get the
It'd be
Fox
great on my
e-bike
truck.
straps from EVOC.
Or if you got a work truck, or I mean, or if your truck's wrapped, like
Yeah.
any number of things, unless you got perfect paint. That's the only thing.
Okay.
Um,
So bike retention obviously is a little bit tricky, maybe that because if the straps don't work, how does the bike stay planted?
You're definitely not gonna be Ricky Bobbying it.
Okay.
That'll help in the long run.
Okay.
Hard to do, but I mean, I don't think I strapped any down, and we drove out to the trailhead a couple times, and I didn't have any big issues.
Okay.
So I think gravity works on your side with kind of how thin it is up top. Like there's still a good chunk of foam in there, and I mean, like it pinches on the tailgate pretty good. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, if you got a wider curved tailgate,
Oh yeah,
don't even try putting it on there. Stick to the blanket.
Okay. All right. Okay. So 1 out of 10 for you.
Probably with 6. Tie with the Swagman.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 7 because it's better than the Swagman.
Okay.
All right.
That's bold. That's bold. Okay. So the big benefit really is its value.
Yeah.
The downsides are that the Velcro straps aren't going to fit a lot of heavier, thicker tubed bikes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one.
So the Dakine Pickup Pad DLX, the only curved pad that we tested.
That's because you ordered the wrong one, but hey.
We just needed to test everything in the fuller size vehicle range.
Yeah. So we did put it on a curved tailgate.
We did.
That
Couple of them.
F-150. Yeah, and it did pretty well actually. I thought it was pretty cool. How did it do on the flat tailgates though?
Not so great.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
But I guess you wouldn't buy a curved tailgate pad if you had a flat tailgate. would you?
Exactly.
No.
We wanted to experience what curved guys feel when they buy a straight tailgate pad.
Yeah. Those poor Dodge owners.
Oh man. Sorry, we tried to get as many trucks as we could for this, but okay. Standouts. Good, bad.
It looks good.
Okay.
It feels built well.
Okay.
It does feel pretty sturdy. I do have concerns with that recycled polyester, like that, the way it feels and potentially scratching a down tube a lot.
Yeah.
Like if you got a down tube protector and that edge on the back side, like it's gonna rub that thing pretty.
It's abrasive.
It can be a very.
It's like a rubbery, thick coating, but I mean, I think it'd be fine.
It is definitely gonna be the most durable, I think.
That tailgate pad. You think it's built to last?
Yeah. Well, the pad itself.
Okay.
Obviously, straps still run into that same concern we mentioned earlier about baking.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean,
Bikes stay in place well. How many bikes could you put on there?
did we get all 7? I think we got 7 on the
We
F-150.
fit 7 and very shocked. And we hadn't seen that many bikes on a tailgate pad in a while, so.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to drive with that many bikes on there.
I thought they fit okay on there,
Yeah.
so.
And even on the Dodge when we were out in Tennessee.
Yeah, that's true. That's
the
true.
bikes in there nice and well.
Okay.
It's not super exciting of a pad, and I feel like if you
It is pretty thin.
have it lined up just a little bit too far back, if it slides or you're lazy in how you mount it, your down tube's gonna be just on the cap of your tailgate. There's actually no pad
On the back
continuing all the way through. So
Okay.
that could be a problem. I know it'd be a problem on my truck if with the right one on there, it would be a problem.
And I mean, being able to tie the tailgate or the access flap back too is it's better than some of the alternatives in the shootout.
Yeah, if it doesn't come off, you got to be able to hold it back, because who wants to flip it up and get in your truck and get back out? So it's a good add-on. You know, they were thinking about using the actual flap.
And it does have 4 straps securing it to the pad.
It does.
I don't know if I really care for the little like clip on the adjuster.
But when we're talking nylon webbing into a plastic, latch, it's going to keep it from sliding. So
I don't think I've ever had an issue with slippage. Ever.
But it was secure. It did not move.
lock in.
Yeah, I liked it. It was very affirmative. It kind of let you know, like, I'm locking this in place, and this is where it's going to be. So.
Yeah. I guess there's one thing that I think the polyester fabric has over some of the tarpaulin ones. Like when you cinch down a tarpaulin, like outer shell pad, like those things stretch. With that polyester, it's not stretching. It's just cinched down and tight. You don't have to worry about ripping it.
Yeah. Okay.
Or stretching in the sun.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you give it?
I'd put it up at a 7. I'd want to see more protection just wrapping all the way over the top.
Okay. All right.
That is a good point.
All right.
7.75.
7.5 and a 7. Okay. Sounds good. Well, we're checking ourselves down the list. So who's up next?
Sensus Bachelor Pad version 2.
Okay.
They don't really claim to a number of bikes that it'll fit. I think could fit 7 or 8, depending how ballsy I wanted to get.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not limited by down tube dividers or really straps or anything. There's nothing up there.
Yeah.
It's probably got the thickest down tube pad.
Good protection.
It's your bike's solid.
Okay. And they have no straps.
There are no down tube straps holding your bike in. It's all gravity.
Driving to LA and back.
I was worried at first, but I mean, what is it, 900 miles?
Yeah.
Bikes didn't move at all. And we all know how I drive going down to LA.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was 5 bikes sectioned in a spot this wide, probably.
Yeah.
Like, it
works.
It works.
Okay.
And I mean, there's bumpers on the outside to prevent the bikes from, if they do start sliding, they're not going to slide off and damaging your tailgate or your bed.
Okay.
So I mean,
is there anything you would improve on that pad?
I think I would go with a more traditional 4-strap with an adjustable buckle.
Okay.
Right now, it's just 4 extremely large Velcro straps, and Sensus uses what they call quick clips, which, I mean, once you set your tailgate up, great. You don't have to mess around with it anymore. But in all my years, those quick clips are the only thing that's jacked up my paint.
Okay.
Just that plastic rubbing on the paint.
That seems to me like it would be a pretty big down point for you. Someone who cares about his paint and his beloved truck.
It is, but I mean, like,
that's got to be a point deduction for sure.
It's definitely not a 10. It's not a 10.
Okay, what do you give it?
I'm gonna go. I mean, it's still like a 9 because I'm gonna keep
not
that
as good
pad.
as the Yakima.
No, yeah, not as good as the Yakima.
Okay.
But I mean, I still like the Sensus pad.
Okay. Dustin?
It's going to be up there at the 9 for me too. Just the functionality of it.
Yeah.
World's your oyster, you know? Do whatever you want.
Less is more.
Yeah.
You just huck your
Those
bikes
clips
in
on the bottom, hey man, have at my paint. It's all good. We live on the West Coast. It's not going to rust.
Okay, all right. So, who's next then?
Well, we have the Cash Basecamp 2.0, the smallest pad on test,
It is.
but not the smallest pad you can buy.
I don't know, it might be. It's only
So-
50 inches wide.
So Cash only makes one size pad.
One size fits all, except for some older trucks that
Have a tailgate that's like
they have a
this
list
big.
on the site.
Yeah, like maybe like a Volkswagen or something.
Yeah, a rabbit pickup.
Okay, so obviously this is the string bikini on full-size trucks.
It's
Bike
pretty-
capacity.
They claim it fits 5,
Okay.
and it does fit 5.
What happens when you put 5 on a full-size truck?
Well, you run into the potential of having the outside bike tire rub on the tailgate, depending on travel size, tire size, that sort of thing. I mean, our 170/29er didn't rub, but like it was close.
Yeah.
And if you're not using it, like, I don't know how well that bungee on the top that's supposed to secure all the bikes in place is gonna work if you hot rod it around a corner. Like, I think enough inertia could still force those bikes over the buckle and onto the paint.
Right, but I mean,
Or onto the buckle.
however, the Sensus pad has 0 straps.
But it's got a bumper.
Sure. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking
No,
about
I'm
bike
just-
to bike.
no,
and
I'm
then
just
moving
talking
in
like-
between, off the edge of the pad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice to see like end caps for
Mhm.
sure to prevent them going off, especially because it's a relatively thin, low profile pad.
I don't know if I'd even call it a pad.
Yeah, it is thin. It's not bulky. I think from like a visual standpoint, I feel like it's like the Apple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Sleek.
it has like this look and this kind of like image and style, and some people might love it because of that.
Yeah, I think the overland world loves this pad. The
Okay.
looks. It's rugged looking. It's got dimension, depth. The straps on the back to outfit and rig things to. It's
Yeah, so
And
I guess that's
adaptable.
something you got to talk about, right? It is.
They
versatile.
do, yeah. And Cash does have what they call the Basecamp system, which is essentially they have 2 chairs that they include.
which would make this more comfortable for you right now.
It would.
Right now, yeah, you.
You could be using it.
A backpack cooler that goes right in the middle.
Okay.
It's pretty neat, but it does add extra cost. So that brings it to $325, which would make it the most expensive pad, but
That's a
you're
lot of
getting
accessories,
a lot.
yeah.
Accessories.
Okay.
Um,
So, I mean, in terms of, it fits the bikes that they claim it fits.
It does.
There is obviously, I would genuinely be concerned, depending on the truck you have and the length, travel, and size wheel bikes you have. Like, I mean, that tire is on that 5th bike is very likely going to be contacting the tailgate on, I'm sure, quite a few vehicles.
Yeah.
That is a downside for sure. I think the width is a downside and the lack of a larger size for bigger truck owners.
yeah, I mean, for mid-sized guys, it's the pad's gonna be great.
This is, yeah, like if you own a Tacoma or a Ranger or something like that, like this would be pretty solid pad, right?
It's a guaranteed
Yeah.
go-to, yeah.
Yeah. Very versatile. Great option, probably. Not something it sounds like you guys would recommend for full-size truck owners.
Yeah.
Personal preference. I mean, if you don't care that it doesn't fit the full tailgate, it might not be an issue. I mean,
Okay.
for myself, I wouldn't buy it.
Might get you out a few shuttle days.
I mean, it looks good.
And they've made improvements over the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Good stanchion pads up front.
You can lock. You can,
Back's the same as
the integrated lock is a nice feature, and the
Yep.
adaptability.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how many people will do that, but for the people that do want to do that, it's a definite bonus for sure.
Yeah.
So what do you give it out of 10?
I'm not gonna give it my personal score.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a general.
A hypothetical score.
Yeah, a general
Okay.
use score, and I'll go high 7s, 8s.
Okay.
But that said, I probably wouldn't run it
Okay.
personally.
And that's mostly size.
Just size specific.
Then let's say, what if it was 12 inches longer?
That, I mean, it'd be up there.
Okay.
I'd probably go 8.5 then.
Okay. All right.
So size obviously isn't knocking a huge score, but it's just stopping me from buying.
Justin?
I'd put it at an 8, I think.
As is, or with the wider size, hypothetical wider size?
Yeah, for sure. I'd keep it as is even. I don't shuttle too much, okay. But obviously I have access to other options. But it's durable, it's rugged. I had the version 1 on my truck for like a year.
Yeah.
And it's
every day.
Yeah, just let it live there. And it did great. And I used it for more than just bikes. Yeah. Like throwing wood over this or whatever, like.
You don't have to worry about it ripping or
no.
tearing.
Yeah, if it's up and you got a kayak in the back, like it's gonna be, this material is just strong. Yeah. It's built well, the stitching's built well. So I like the adaptability of it. Okay. You know, don't have to have a cooler sitting in the back for someone to just take. It's locked in.
That being said, we've gone through all the pads, pros and cons, kind of made up some arbitrary numbers to associate with these pads. You have to pull out your wallet and buy one to put on your truck. What's it going to be?
If I'm spending my money,
yes,
I'm probably buying the Yakima.
Okay.
Because I just like how well thought out it is. Okay. And everything's spaced nice. It has wide coverage. The only thing I would do is buy the black one, not this blue one. But it's a solid pad. Like, it's great. But I mean, that said, I'm still going to keep the Sensus pad because I'm lazy and don't want to strap anything down.
Okay, Dustin, what are you buying?
You know, I like the coverage of the EVOC.
Yes.
I like the bike fitment on the Yakima, but the Raceface, it just kind of did what it needed to do the right way, adaptability. I'm always changing trucks, changing whatever, so it can kind of grow with me because it's going to stick around for a while.
Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. 9 tailgate pads. If you're still awake and didn't fall asleep, hopefully you got some good information out of that. We tried to keep each one of those bits a little bit shorter than the full-length videos.
It's hard to do.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about.
Especially when they make good pads.
I know. Yeah, and there's a lot of good pads out there, but none perfect, you said.
Nope, they aren't perfect.
If any of you companies are out there watching, or some other smart engineer, inventor guy watching this video who thinks you can do it,
Pick my brain.
Take this feedback.
Run it past us.
Let's make some cool pads, all right? Thank you guys once again. Loam Wolf 15 at competitivecyclist.com. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a comment with any questions you have down below. We'll be happy to answer them if we missed it in our rambling session here. And if you want more details, check out the detailed reviews down below. So thank you guys again for watching. Before we leave, don't forget to send a text message to the number down below. We're gonna be giving away like 8 of these tailgate pads. So send a text, won't cost you anything. And plus, if you don't win a tailgate pad, you might win something else because we're gonna be doing a ton of giveaways to our text group. Feel free to reach out, say, keep me informed, and then we'll be on the list. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.